Hi everybody, it's time to renew my lower ball joint in the 2007 Hyundai Santa Fe. Now to do this job you need to undo the 19 the bolt going through this back part here of the lower cross arm. It's a 19mm, okay? Now I couldn't get a socket in on the nut end because of the rack and pinion, so I put my ring spanner on that end and I cracked it with the socket on the bolt end, which took a bit of work because that's pulling the bolt around. As soon as I cracked it, then I managed to loosen off the nut with my ring spanner on this side. Once I got the nut off, the bolt just slipped out of my hand, so that was quite easy for that side. Now it's another 19mm bolt holding the front of the lower cross arm in place. You can quite easily get a socket underneath that, 19mm, and a 19mm ring spanner on top of it for the nut. That also comes out very easy. Now I left the ball joint in the hub, although I had taken the bolt out. So I've taken the bolt out, let's get a bit of light there. I've taken the bolt out. That's a 17mm bolt, and you have to take out the cotter pin first. Take out the cotter pin, remove the nut, and just carefully drift it back. It came back very easy on mine, but I have seen some online where they're quite corroded. Mine has a little bit of surface rust, but it came back very nicely. I left the ball joint pin in place while I actually pulled back carefully the cross arm out of its housings, and then I thought it would just drop down, but it was still tight. It came down a little way, but still tight. So I just gave it a little nudge with my pickle fork, and it came out perfectly. I think this is going to be the easiest way to actually replace the lower ball joint than trying to do it in situation. Now that I've got it out, I can take it over to my vise, hold it carefully, and use my ball joint removal tool to remove the old ball joint after I've taken the C-clip off there, and then clean it all up nicely, lubricate it nicely, and then I will press in my replacement ball joint. There's my replacement ball joint there. Now this whole job was quoted to me for $800 for both sides. So far it has cost me $120 for the tool from Super Cheap here in New Zealand, and the lower ball joints I got online from the States for, I think it was about $60 for them both. So I'm hoping to get the whole job done very reasonably, and it's fairly early in the morning and I'm making very good progress. This took me only about an hour to get this far. I found it easier to take the wheel off and to actually turn the wheel out a bit. It gave me good access in here to this bolt without having to reach in too far. Make sure you take safety precautions using axle stands, etc. as well, and you shouldn't have too much trouble. To avoid dust, I threw a bucket of soapy water in here, and that washed away any brake dust, so that makes it a little bit more safe also for breathing in any brake dust that might be disturbed when you're having to do the odd hit. I managed to use my pry bar to get the lower cross arm out of the housing positions. It came out very easy, to be honest. I did lubricate all of my bolts and nuts first, and I was just using 3-in-1 oil. I find that more easy to apply than actually spraying something like CRC or WD-40 in there. So that's my work so far. I'll come back with an update once I have pressed out the old ball joint and prepared the cross arm to receive the new ball joint. Hopefully this gives you some confidence if you have this job. This was a wellness fitness issue for my Santa Fe, and although it may seem a bit overwhelming at the time, it's something that most home handyman can do with fairly simple tools. But I do suggest investing in one of these, and even if you then sell it afterwards, it's only going to cost you maybe $20 or $30 for the difference.